Let's get into it. Oh.
Hey, Peter. God dang it, Bobby.
Welcome back, guys, to 191 Media. It's your boys, Matt
And Micah.
and today we're going to review the movie Upgrade, which released in 2018.
The movie was directed by Leigh Whannell and stars Logan Marshall-Green and Betty Gabriel. The plot summary for the movie is Gray Trace and his wife suffer a horrible mugging that leaves him paralyzed and her dead. A rich inventor develops an artificial intelligence implant called STEM that allows Gray to regain control of his body. With STEM in his body, he is quicker, stronger, and smarter than any regular human, and he uses this power to exact revenge on the men who killed his wife. Alright Matt, so what was your initial thought after watching the movie Upgrade?
Yeah, my initial thoughts, I thought it was really well done, and I honestly had no complaints with this movie overall. It was funny, it had good action, good tension, good pacing, and if I had to sum up this movie in, I guess, one or two words, I get one word, I would say it was badass. How about yourself? What were your initial thoughts, and what would you sum up this movie with a word or two?
My two words that I would sum up this movie for is very dangerous.
Why would you say it's very dangerous?
I thought it was very dangerous.
Why did you think this movie was very dangerous? Very dangerous. Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Why did you think this movie was very dangerous?
Yeah, I thought it was really good, man. I agree with pretty much everything you said. I thought the movie was really well done. It was fast-paced. The characters were well written. You kind of have to keep on guessing to what was going to happen in the movie. I thought it was interesting that there's a artificial intelligence called STEM that was implanted in this character named Gray's body because he becomes paralyzed after his wife is killed by these guys. I thought it was interesting that they kind of brought STEM into the play with the movie. What did you think of STEM, and could you maybe talk a little bit more about what STEM was?
Yeah, just adding on to what you said, essentially STEM was a AI, I guess some kind of microchip that went into Gray's spine to kind of reattach not reattach, but take control of his body almost, because he became a paraplegic, or even a quadriplegic.
I think it was a quad, yeah.
Yeah, so essentially he had no control of his body after the mugging incident, and STEM was able to give him basically freedom of movement and basically regain his body. But as it turns out, STEM has kind of a mind of its own and assists Gray and is able to help him throughout his journey to, I guess, exact revenge on the people who killed his wife. What are your thoughts on that? Some people think that Logan Marshall-Green looks like Tom Hardy in some ways.
Yeah, when I watched the movie, I thought that it was Tom Hardy. But I looked online and just looked at a picture of Tom Hardy and a picture of Logan Marshall-Green. I thought it was the same person. I think with the beard, he almost looks like maybe it could be his brother or something like that. Or like I said, almost like a Tom Hardy light, like C-list. I guess Logan Marshall-Green's more of a C-list actor anyway. What did you think about that?
They did look similar, but then I kind of Googled the two actors. Well, I guess I know what Tom Hardy looks like, but I Googled Logan Marshall-Green just to see what he looks like. And all the pictures that first showed up were without the beard. And without the beard, I do not think they look similar, but with the beard, I would agree they look like, yeah, almost brothers. Like Logan Marshall-Green is almost like a younger brother to him. But the resemblance is uncanny.
So what were your thoughts on the acting for this movie, Matt?
I thought the acting was done really well in this movie, and everyone did a great job. The main character, played by Logan Marshall-Green, he was funny, he was entertaining, his character was done well with what he had to work with. I guess we didn't see his wife have too many parts because she gets out of the story pretty quick. Detective Cortez, played by Betty Gabriel, did a great job too. Really, they kind of played both sides of her in a way, where it's kind of, she's like good cop, bad cop kind of thing, but she did a great job. She almost looked familiar from maybe another.
She looked like Sasha from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's where she looked like.
I thought it was the same actress.
Yeah, so that's probably what I was thinking. Walking Dead, hey? But yeah. Then the billionaire, Aaron Keane, I believe it was, played by Harrison, was it Gilbertson? He wasn't in it for too much either, but he did a good job. I thought he played the socially awkward reclusive billionaire really well, and he definitely, in his scenes, like, he even calls himself out during the movie and says, oh, you know, I'm socially awkward, I don't go out much, but he really gave off those creepy vibes, right?
Yeah, he did.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I thought that the actor they got for him was pretty good. He almost looked like another character too from a few movies I've seen too.
This whole movie was like
I can't name like the characters, but or the actors, but I thought he did a really good job too. I thought that Logan Marshall-Green did a really amazing job for what he had to work with, like you said. He kind of brought the character to life. Especially, I like the parts where he was the quadriplegic, and you could kind of almost feel like he actually was a quadriplegic because he played that part really well. And there was a certain part where he got stem into his body and he was like acting out like getting up from the wheelchair, and you could really kind of almost imagine that he was an actual quadriplegic getting up from the wheelchair. Like his movements, like just getting up from the chair, and like his leg movements were really well done too. I don't know, what did you think about that part too?
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely. The way that he was able to act in a way that his head almost looked like he was only in control of his head, because he really was, and Stem was in control of the rest. And he really did well to act that he was, I guess, a robot almost from the neck down, even though technically he was controlling his limbs, but the AI is kind of doing it for him, but really well done in that regard.
AI kind of freaks me out when I think about it, because there's certain parts in the movie where Stem just is talking to Gray and saying like, I can't do anything unless you give me your permission to act. And he ends up finding one of the guys that killed his wife, and then Stem is saying like, okay, you need to tell me, give me permission so I can activate myself. And he just takes over, and Gray has no control of his body because this AI is pretty much taking control of himself.
I think that takes us into the next question, actually, on what you thought of the world of this movie, and kind of it was almost like cyberpunk-esque, like, you know, near future, AI rampant. Like, what do you think of that?
I thought it was awesome, man. Like, some of those guys had like guns in their arms, like implanted in their arms. It was really cool. Yeah, it kind of freaks me out. Like, I like the idea of cyberpunk, but like people becoming almost androids, but it also freaks me out at the same time.
I think that's actually, I don't know, I think it's kind of cool in a sense that, like, I guess all the tech is really cool and how stuff's really advanced, and, you know, if someone becomes disabled, like the main character, Great Trace in this movie, that there is a way to regain your body back, but then, like you said, there's that aspect to it that, you know, there's a dark side to everything, and what if, you know, the AI is implanted with something else, right? Like someone hacks you even, right? And they take control of your body. There's a scary aspect to it for sure.
Mm-hmm. I guess it just shows that there is artificial intelligence, and we might even be moving towards that in the future, so who knows?
Just look at Mark Zuckerberg, right?
The Zuck. So kind of adding on to the last question, Matt, what did you think of the cinematography and the sets in the world?
I think for what kind of budget they had, which I think was $5 million, so not big, I think they really did a good job showing that this was a near futuristic, cyberpunk setting that was done really well. Like, the shots were cool, the sets were cool, locations were cool, lighting was good too, like really drove home that aesthetic. I really like too, for like, I don't know if this is cinematography per se, I think it is, but when when Gray's kind of getting controlled by Stem and the camera kind of stays level with his head, and it's kind of just following his head through all these high-paced actions. Like, I think at one point he did like a backflip and the camera just followed that. Like, it's really stylistic, really cool. What did you think about all that?
Yeah, I actually was going to mention that too. You pretty much covered everything I was going to say.
Oh, sorry, man.
I really, I really like some of the kills in this movie too. Like, they were brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was a couple times where he was fighting one guy who had a gun in his arm, and he just ended up using it against him and blew his head off, right?
Yes, this movie is not for kids.
Yeah, rated R superstar. Do you think this movie had like a deeper meaning to it too?
I think it had a little bit of a deeper meaning to it, because they did play into the fact that the main character, Ray Trace, he was like a, what's the word, like a technophobe? where he's against technology and he's all about analog technology. So like he's a mechanic for his profession and he just works on mechanical cars, which is kind of a thing of the past during this time period in the movie. And then lo and behold, STEM gets implanted into Great Trace, who is totally against technology. And then we see the downward spiral that this leads to. So I think there's kind of maybe it's saying that, hey, you know, technology is great, but we can't rely on it for everything. So there has to be, you know, a good mix of technology mixed with old ways. So that's what I thought about it. Did you think this movie had a deeper meaning at all?
I don't know. I think it had a little bit of a deeper meaning, but kind of adding to what you said, like he was working on these old vehicles and it was almost like a thing of the past, but then like these newer vehicles, self-driving vehicles, like it actually ended up causing the accident for his wife and him. So I think it's almost, I guess it's just saying like you can't completely trust AI.
All right, so any final comments on this movie, and who would you recommend to watch this movie?
Yeah, I thought the movie was really well done. My final comments on the movie is I think it kind of took me by surprise because I wasn't expecting like an amazing movie, because just looking up like the budget for this movie and I guess what they had to work with, especially like all the actors I had never seen before, but I thought they did a really good job with what they had. I would recommend this movie to anyone who's into like action or sci-fi type movies, because it really surprised me in what they were able to do. What about you?
I'd agree with that. Definitely, it was a surprising movie. You basically covered what I was basically going to say. So yeah, it was surprising, really well done. The production company that made it was Blumhouse, which usually makes pretty crappy horror type movies. So this was definitely a surprise from that production company. So really well done. If you like action, thrillers, movies with heavy stylistic choices, this is the movie for you for sure.
Thanks again for watching, guys. For 191 Media, I'm Micah.
And I'm Matt. And if you had a second, if you guys could please like, comment, and subscribe, that would really help us out. We'll see you in the next one.